space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Retrek. I'm Captain Jim, and with me, of course, is Admiral Elliot.
Avoid death and cower.
And this week, as you may have guessed, we're talking about the latest episode of Lower Decks, which I don't know if my Klingon pronunciation's right, but Wej Duj, which means 3 ships.
Which is odd because there's actually 5 ships in it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's 3 ships, brackets, for most of the episode.
Yeah.
Brackets. And then we're going to go back to the namesake, the original Lower Decks episode from TNG. But before that, we've got a fair bit of Trek news this week.
Well, there's been all sorts, hasn't there? Shall we go backwards in chronological order? So, what about 2.5 hours ago, Captain Kirk went into space.
Yeah.
So, congratulations, Bill.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, you know, people have differing opinions on Shatner and you're entitled to them, but there is something incredibly cool about the fact that Captain Kirk's just been to space. You know, that's just incredible.
It is, isn't it?
So, yeah, absolutely brilliant. And I'm sure it'll be all over the news and everything. And by the time this podcast goes out, you've probably seen it. But, absolutely fantastic stuff. And, so what else have we got then?
Well, we had some news broke of some more Prodigy cast.
Oh, yeah.
Robert Beltram, Chakotay, is going to be back.
I heard it was going to be Captain Chakotay.
Yeah, Captain Chakotay. Now, I've got a theory on this because everything we've been told is that the Prodigy is lost in the Delta Quadrant, but it's a Federation ship.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he's going to be a regular cast member because if he's only just been announced, I think he's going to be a guest appearance, 1 episode, possibly 2. And I feel really sorry for him here because I've got a sneaky suspicion that he's going to have been the captain of the Prodigy and he's responsible for it being lost.
Oh.
And what's even worse is that he's made it as Captain Chakotay and they've put a command hologram program, Janeway, on his bridge as well to tell him what to do.
Yeah, and I can imagine he's trying to get around the hologram like, I'll make you a bath out of wood and, you know, you can come and have a bath and I'll get you a pet monkey and everything. But it's not working out for him. You never know. It might turn out that he's the captain. And I mean, in the books, he does become the captain of Voyager as Janeway gets promoted. So we've talked a little bit how they seem to be, as much as they can, they seem to be confirming the canon that's been established in the books. So, like things like, trying to think of a good example now, like the Titan, the design of the Titan. And so I like the idea that, if you can adhere to what's gone down in the books, you might as well do.
Yeah.
And if that means making Chakotay a captain, oh well, I guess
I don't mind him being a captain. And I have got a nasty feeling, though, that he might be responsible for having lost the Prodigy.
Yeah, we'll find
because
out.
I think he might be sort of like maybe 3 or 4 episodes in. Holodeck Janeway telling the story to the kids of how the Prodigy got lost.
Yeah, that could be a way of doing it. Because they have said that we're going to get more Alpha Quadrant than we might think from the Earth. Yeah. So, well, we'll find out. We'll have fun. We'll be covering all of it. And did we have anything else?
There was the second Discovery trailer dropped.
Oh, yes. I forgot the controversy.
Yeah, and it blew up the internet, didn't it? People either for or against the new new Ferengi design.
Well, that was the thing. So I saw on Twitter that Klingons was trending, and I thought, have they done something else to the Klingons again?
Yeah.
The reason Klingon was trending was because everybody was saying that Ferengi looks like between a Ferengi and a Klingon.
Well,
which, to be fair, it might be. We don't know.
I read something today, and it's only half Ferengi.
Oh, there you go. Then it might be half Ferengi, half Klingon.
But there's a lot of it, and people are complaining about the ears and all that. And then, if you look on some of the internet, there's been pictures of Andrew Probert's original design for the Ferengi, and it looks more like that than what we ended up getting. And do you know the thing that's annoyed me about this all week is all the haters going, "Oh, they changed the Ferengi," and up in arms and showing pictures of Quark from DS9. Well, if you look at 5 years earlier when Armin Shimmerman played the Ferengi in The Last Outpost, it's a different design again. So, but why aren't they making a big outcry about that?
It's just that they like to complain, don't they? I mean, the thing is as well, one, it's 900 years on. So if we looked at a human from 900 years ago, they wouldn't look like we do now. No. It's just species change. Also, okay, that one's ears are pointier than we've seen before. But you know what? Like, using a Trek actor, and I'm not slagging him off, I think he's a really good actor, James Frain, who plays Sarek. If you look at him when he's not in Sarek makeup, he's still got pretty pointy ears. So the point is, people's ears are different.
Yeah.
You know, for any English,
it's like if you look at that, between TNG and DS9 was 5 years, and makeup skills improved and prosthetic work improved. It's now 29 years later since that in DS9. Yeah. Of course, prosthetics and makeup work's improved, and they can do more with it.
Yeah, this is the thing, and it's one Ferengi as well that we've seen in a trailer.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that we've had a drastic redesign. I mean, you know, if we get to season 4 of Discovery and they've completely redesigned the Ferengi and they look awful, we will say that. We're not here to defend everything they do, but calm down. You know, let's enjoy the trailer. It looks
You've seen a couple of seconds of one character. Yeah. And it's not even and like reports are coming out that it's not even a full Ferengi, it's only half Ferengi.
Yeah. So let's wait and see. Let's see what happens. And aside from the Ferengi controversy, it looks like an interesting hook for the season. It looks
it does.
It looks like we're going all sciencey with it, which is a really interesting idea.
It almost looks like they could be encountering Voyager again.
That would be, yes, that would be very, very interesting. And you could do some interesting stuff with Michael there, 'cause if it was Voyager, Spock mind melded with Voyager, so Voyager might still have some of Spock's memories
and know who Michael is.
Exactly. So there could be some really interesting stuff there. But regardless of what it is, we will obviously be covering Discovery when we get there as well. We've got
not long, November the 18th.
Yeah, not long at all.
On CBS. So that'll be November the 19th on Netflix.
Yep. So we'll look forward to that one. We got Prodigy and Discovery coming in the next few weeks. But before we get there, we've got a couple more Lower Decks. So this is the penultimate episode. No teaser again. We just went straight into the credits.
Yeah.
But then we come out of the credits and we get a title in Klingon, which I thought was great.
Yeah, I don't know if you know. Well, I know you noticed, but if other people noticed, I did incorporate that into our thumbnail for this week instead of. So it is Wej Duj in Klingon, written in Klingon.
Which it says they've given us the translation as 3 ships, and the main conceit of the episode then is that we're not just looking at our lower decks crew that we're used to. We're giving the lower decks treatment to other ships, and we're taking probably the two best known aliens in Star Trek. Like, let's look at the Klingons and let's look at the Vulcans, and let's see how a similar concept works with them, which I think is a really interesting idea.
Like, to be fair with the Klingons, we have seen Klingon lower decks in DS9, but I don't think we've ever seen crew on board a Vulcan ship operating. Main crew all lower decks, so that I thought that was really good and really well done how they've done it.
It was really well observed, really true to the character of the Vulcans, how they portrayed them. And like, I love the idea that you had the main Vulcan character, I forget her name, but her thing was
Talaj or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. And she's improved the sensors, but they're not happy that she's improved the sensors because that wasn't what she was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And you get that guy who just says she's lost all control. And then you contrast to that is you've got the Klingons, who one of them's filing his teeth, and he's basically talking about, well, I think that there's going to be an assassination attempt on the captain, so I want to be positioned well to get a promotion when it happens. And we know that sort of thing goes on a Klingon ship, but it is interesting to put that lower deck spin on it and to see, we've seen it on our Federation ship like the other week with the red
it was sort of mentioned in DS9, wasn't it? Like, everyone moves up through assassination is like a normal wave promotion on a Klingon ship.
So instead of having like your Boimler and his red shirt friends, saying, oh, we'll try and do this to impress the captain, you've got these Klingons going, oh, well, somebody's going to get killed, so I need to make sure that I can go up. So I thought that was really good. A good sort of contrast between the Klingons and the Vulcans. And when the Klingon captain and the first officer actually go at it, we get the purple blood, which I think this is the first time since Star Trek 6 that we're actually getting purple Klingon blood instead of red.
I don't think we really ever saw them bleeding, did we, in TNG and DS9?
I think there's a couple of episodes where Worf bleeds, definitely.
Yeah.
But not, and there's a few in DS9 like where they cut the hands to prove they're not things. And we know, like, from Star Trek 6, they did purple blood because apparently it was easier to do the special effects.
Yeah, it was for the CGI, wasn't it, at the time?
And also, so they could have that bit at the end where he goes, this isn't Klingon blood because it's red. And obviously, if Klingon blood were red, you couldn't do that. So it's nice that we get a callback to that. And they do make a little bit of a joke about it where somebody later on says the Klingon blood runs as reddish pink as ever.
Yeah.
So at least we're calling it out. And this is the thing. You can tie yourself up in knots trying to make excuses for continuity errors. But at the end of the day, we all know this is a continuity error with Klingon blood.
Yeah, it was done for CGI.
Yeah.
And, like, to be fair, when Star Trek 6 was made, it was way before we all had the internet. So they could never have envisioned how much these shows and films would be taken apart and everyone talking about it and forums all over. And
it was probably just one of them where, we know from Star Trek 6 they're meant to have purple blood, but on a TV show budget, if we need to show Worf bleeding, it's
just going to be normal fake blood.
Yeah, exactly, because we can get that instead of having to make it, So anyway, but I like how Lower Decks does just tease at these things, but it always does it in a light-hearted way.
Yeah.
And this ties into what we're saying about the Ferengi. It's like, okay, if they change the design a little bit, just let it go. It's something you can laugh about, and that's exactly what Lower Decks is doing.
Yeah.
What else happens in this one then? So yeah, the Klingon captain kills the first officer. I like that we've got this thing of Boimler trying to get a bridge buddy all the way through the episode, and
he's really upset that he's not hanging out with any of the bridge crew and all his mates are.
Yeah, and you get a bit. So he tries to bond with the Tamarian, Keishon, and this is exactly what we were saying about how you should be using him. This is brilliant. Boimler tries to do one of the metaphors and ends up calling him fat, and he goes,
"Yeah,
that's brilliant. That's how we want this sort of thing to be done. It doesn't always need to be a Darmok thing. You can have little gags like this, which is brilliant." And he messes it up with Shax because he mentions Voyager.
Yeah, fighting in the resistance, and he goes off on one.
Yeah, and he comes out with a classic line, which fighting fascism is a full-time job. So he didn't have any time for learning pottery when he was on Voyager. And then probably the best one then, when he goes to see Tendi on the holodeck, and it's Star Trek V.
It's just the start of Star Trek V, isn't it? Yeah, that's all it is.
He's even got Kirk's shirt on, the same shirt that Kirk's wearing. What I like about it, though, apart from, obviously, yeah, let's have fun with Star Trek V because we might as well. It's better than taking it seriously. But they could have had any character doing this. It could have been Shax climbing a mountain. It could have been Keishon. But no, it's Dr. Tana. And it's like, well, she says how much she likes climbing up surfaces. Like, of course she does, because she's a cat. That's a cat. What you enjoy doing. So that's just brilliantly observed. I really like it. I don't know if you've checked this. I haven't yet because I'm absolutely convinced. One of the Klingons is Martok, or it's J.G. Hertzler's voice.
I never noticed it as J.J. Hertzler.
There's a Klingon who's got a scar over his eye, so visually it's reminiscent of Martok. And
yeah, I must admit I thought it was reminiscent, but I didn't look it up.
I'm
I'll see if I can bring it up. The cast.
I'm pretty convinced it is, so I didn't bother checking it. But if not, it's someone who sounds a hell of a lot like J.G. Hertzler. Then the other sort of pairing that we've got then is Mariner and Freeman now. So we started this season, they were doing a lot of mother-daughter bonding and everything. And then they decided it didn't really work. But now we're actually seeing them hanging out in their own downtime, which I think's...
Well, she does get ordered to it, doesn't she? Mariner's not happy about it. Like she gets, it comes over the tannoy, doesn't it? Inside Mariner reports at captain's quarters for, what does she call it? Quality time.
Yeah, quality time, or mum and daughter time or something. And what the talk...
J.G. Hertz. It's in J.G. Hertzler. He's not listed.
Wow, right, okay. It's someone who sounds, to my ear anyway, sounds absolutely like him. I'll have to check who it is. I'm assuming this is a Star Trek first, that in this scene with Mariner and Freeman, we get a reference to Mariner and her period and the fact that she gets really bad cramps. And then we get a reference to Freeman and her hot flushes because she's going through the menopause.
Yeah, but also it sounded like Mariner was saying that Captain Freeman had said it on her old ship.
Oh, right, okay.
I thought she said that. I thought that's what part of the argument was.
Okay. So it wasn't that's happened on this ship.
No, that she said it on her old ship, and that's why she'd rebelled. Right.
It could be. So it could be a little bit more of Mariner's backstory, but I think just the fact that we're talking about it's still talking about periods and menopause and things like that. Weirdly, in the 21st century, it's still a really taboo thing. Talking about on TV, and doing it in Star Trek, in a comedy Star Trek, is in its own way, it's quietly quite progressive. Just dropping in something like this.
Yeah, Lower Decks is the perfect format for doing this, way it can come out with these things.
Exactly, and there's no reason why you shouldn't address this, but it's just always been one of those things that they don't like doing on TV, and it'll be a good trivia question in the future. Which is the first Star Trek episode to mention a character having the period? It'll be, and you've got to spell it right. You've got to write it in the Klingon to get your points in the pub quiz. Then there's Boimler's thing with Ransom, and we think initially they're all from Hawaii.
Well, they're all pretending that they're from Hawaii.
Yeah. And it's one of them where everybody's pretending because they think everybody else is, but it turns out none of them are. Even Ransom, who's only pretending to be from Hawaii because he did it on an old ship.
Yeah, he did it on his old ship to impress his commander.
Yeah, and the thing is, we've all worked with people like this. You do get people who do this, who find out what the bosses are into, and they try and talk to them about it to cozy the way in and everything. And yeah, it's just very, very true to life. And then I love how it flips, and they all admit to Boimler that they're lying about it. But then they find out that they're all from moons, and they shun Boimler again. So even though he's got them to admit it, as soon as they find something else, it still doesn't work out for him, which is...
they really have got something that they all have in common.
Yeah, but poor old Boimler. And then we finally get the reveal of who is behind the Pakleds, and it turns out it's this Klingon captain.
Yeah, it's not the Klingon nation. He's acting on his own.
Yeah, he's a bit of a renegade, but we said that there'd be somebody behind it, and I don't think we guessed at the Klingons, so that's an interesting development. And I love that. I mean, the Pakled stuff's been great all season, but the idea that he gave him a bomb and didn't realize it was only one use, and so
we need another boomer. Why? What have we done with it? We tested it on the asteroid, and then it wouldn't work after.
Yeah, great, and the red alarm as well. Instead, and I think the Pakled
welcome to our ship, Pakled ship.
Yeah. And when the battle's about to start, you get the alarm going off, and everybody on the Cerritos is running back to the bridge. And I'm sure there's someone runs past dressed as Robin Hood, which
there is. There's
a reference to Cupid.
It is. There's Robin Hood. There's another one who's got the dressing gown on like Daychas for Sherlock Holmes novels.
All right.
There's two women who are wearing the leotard things that Beverly and Troy wore that time in front of the mirror.
Right.
What else is there? There's a few of them.
Yeah.
It's a right Easter egg moment of people running out of holodecks and they're doing all the different things that we've seen in the past.
You need to pause to catch them all, I think. I love the Freeman's got a Ritos shirt, which is obviously a play on the disco shirt.
Disco.
I think disco works better than Ritos, but
yeah, it does.
I think that's the joke, is that disco's one of the only ones that Discovery to Disco is one of the only ones you can shorten, because everything else just seems silly.
I suppose you could wear one prize.
Prize, yeah. Or enter. Which would be a bit weird.
Tit for Titan.
Yeah. Riker with a shirt saying tit on it. But more on that in the next episode with how Riker carries on. And then, like you said, we get another lower deck, which is the Pakled lower deck.
Oh, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
What is it? I'm hungry. You should eat something. You're very smart.
Yeah. So that's great. Like, I think they don't overplay this. The majority of the episode is the 3 different ships, but then we drop this one in, and obviously right at the end we get the sort of stinger to the episode. But you get the Vulcans turn up to save the day, and this is very much like the end of season 2 of Discovery, where the Klingon cleaver ship turns up and gets them. And also any number of other episodes like
it gets the music playing from Star Trek 2. Wolfram Khan is playing all the way through this.
Yeah, and I do like the little subplot with the guy who's bonded with the tag, because the Klingon captain made him look after the tag, and then it comes to help him in the fight with the captain. So that, you know, you don't need to do something like that in a comedy episode to have this little arc in there.
But it was there. They've put it in there to pay it off. Like, it. Worst one, I think, recently is Star Wars, where someone has to say something all the time to explain what's happening.
Yes, yeah.
Where here, they've put the bit in where he's looking after the tag, and it's paid off at the end.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't have to
why is the captain's tag attacking him and protecting this guy? We've seen it.
Yeah, you don't.
Nothing said about it. It's not explained. It's just there on the screen.
Yeah. You don't have to have him say, "Oh, good boy, you're grateful I looked after you earlier on," or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Now, when he kills the Klingon captain, the way it's animated is he stabs the knife through him, and instead of seeing the knife come out of his back, you see it pushing his cape up.
Yeah.
So he's still covered by his cape. Now, I'm not 100% certain, but I feel like this is a reference to, and spoilers for comic books, when Bullseye kills Elektra with her own dagger. They had to draw it like that because the comic censors at the time said you can't show the blade sticking out of her.
Right.
So to imply that the blade's sticking out of her without actually showing it, he drew it as whatever she was wearing being pushed up by the blade. And it looks almost exactly like this. And
possibly. But it does go the pinky purple colour.
It does, yeah. But I feel like it's just something so specific that it must be a reference to it.
Right.
So I'm guessing that the animator or the director of the episode must have been a fan of, I think it was Frank Miller's run on Daredevil.
Oh, well, there you go then. If it's Frank Miller's work, it's no wonder someone's a fan of it.
Yeah, it's a very famous run on the comics, and obviously Frank Miller's a huge name in animation. So yeah, an artist being a fan of Frank Miller's work is not a huge revelation.
No,
but I do feel like that's deliberate. The Vulcans, very in character, don't want to stick around for a chat.
Well, before this, we have like the main character in it from the Vulcans, the female. She's there. Now's a good time to try my project. I've been working on an advanced shield. Oh, it shouldn't be tested now. No, this is the logical time to try it.
It's how they're always playing games with each other to who can justify what with the logic.
Yeah. So they plug it in, and then whoever's on the shield duty, they come and goes, shields are now at 120%. Very improbable.
And then obviously Freeman's really, really energized after this and wants to talk to the Vulcans, but they're just like, well, it's dealt with, so we don't need to talk anymore.
Yeah.
That's all you get from them. And there's a nice cap to the episode where you get Ransom's told a cadet to go and speak to Boimler. So that's nice that we get hints.
We also get the part where she's getting told off on the Vulcan ship.
Oh yeah,
about that. Because she's too, how would you say, too emotional almost, and because she's done a project on her own. And she gets told off, and he's told her that she's getting transferred to a Federation ship.
Yeah,
I wonder if we might get her as a character in Lower Decks.
Whether we're going to see her as a regular. Or...
Well, yeah, because we generally have a Vulcan.
Yeah, and that'd fit in quite well. The dynamic could go quite well, I think, with the characters we've got established. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, like, we're coming up on season 3, so we're probably looking at 1 or 2 of our Lower Decks crew maybe getting promoted.
Maybe.
Boiler's already been promoted, but that one's off on the Titan. We've got the other one who's still an ensign. He got demoted when he got cloned. One of them did.
Yeah, bit of a shame.
So there's that where one of them might get promoted. So you might have this new ensign fitting into the dynamic.
Yeah,
and just seeing one of them occasionally. And if we just see one occasionally, it wouldn't surprise me if it was Tandy. Because I think they use her less than any of the others.
Yeah, I think that's fair, but I feel like there's more to be done with Tandy and her Orion heritage. Like, I don't feel like we're finished with that yet.
No,
there's got to be some more to that. But yeah, the cadet speaking to Boimler then shows that Boimler is impressing Ransom to some degree. We had a bit of it in the earlier episode when it was all about who's going to be the acting captain, but what he wanted Boimler to do was actually useful. And then here he's sending someone to speak to him. So we are getting these hints. Maybe this Boimler will get promoted as well at some point.
I hope he does. He deserves to.
He does.
He deserves to win the other clone Boimlers off being a lieutenant.
He was robbed of that, really. I mean, it's not his fault he got transporter cloned, but there you go. And then we finish with, over the credits, the Borg Lower Decks, which this reminded me of Twin Peaks: The Return. There's a scene in Twin Peaks: The Return where it's just somebody sweeping the floor. And it goes on for about 6 minutes, all through the end credits. There's only David Lynch would do something like that. But it's this exact thing where you're being forced to focus on a screen where absolutely nothing's happening, but your eyes are constantly darting across the screen. So you're thinking maybe something.
You're waiting for something. You're waiting for something to happen with it.
Yeah, and so you look at one of the Borg and then another, and
it did make perfect sense that the Borg Lower Decks are in the regeneration things, and they don't communicate and carry on with each other until they're needed for something. That's where they stay.
Yeah, and also the Borg, pretty much the Lower Decks is also the Upper Decks. It's all the king, and then there's everybody else. You know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good, a very good gag. So this one, there weren't that many specific call-outs, but we thought...
there was quite a lot to the movies, wasn't there? There was stuff from Star Trek 6, Star Trek 5, and we covered the movies literally when we first started reading.
Yeah, it was our very first episodes. So if you've not listened to them, if you go right back to the start of the podcast feed, there's... Yeah,
we might have to go back and rediscover the movies at some point.
It's been a couple of years. We've probably got other things to say now about them.
Yeah, I think it's probably been, in fact, it's been 3 years at least.
Yeah. So yeah, we may have something else to say at some point about them. But structurally, this episode reminded us mostly of the original Lower Decks episode from season 7 of TNG.
Well, it was all about it was about 3 Lower Decks crews, and it showed us 2 others. So it makes absolute sense to look at Lower Decks from TNG,
which is a really good episode, and it's one that it's got a lightness of touch to the vast majority of it, but then it's got a hell of a sting at the end of it. And it's a really interesting episode, and it's one that was quite ambitious at the time because you just didn't do this in episodic TV. It was so rare that you would do an episode that breaks the formula. Like now we're used to it. Like we have the Doctor Who episodes where the Doctor's hardly in it. And Supernatural did an episode that's filmed entirely from inside the car. And, we've done things like Buffy did a musical episode and so on. And so, breaking the format is what you expect now. But
but like back in, this would be 94 because it's mid to late season 7. It was like to do an episode where your main cast are in it, but they're background characters. You've literally swapped. You brought your background characters that might get a little cameo or one line are all at the front, and
which is just wasn't done at the time, but it's a great idea. I mean, the concept of doing it dates back. There's a play called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, and it's basically 2 minor characters from Hamlet, and it retells the story of Hamlet, but from their point of view. So it's got 1 or 2 scenes from Hamlet in it, but then it's just what they're doing for the rest of it while all the important stuff's going on. So that, the concept of doing this is not new, but doing it on a syndicated episodic TV show was quite ambitious. And I think that's why we don't get this until season 7, because it's like, well, it's our last season. We can do what we want. Let's see if we can push the envelope a little bit. And I think they do. And I think it's really, really successful.
I think this is a really good episode.
Yeah. And I think what's clever about it is they don't just take complete unknown characters. I mean, some of them are, like Lavelle and the Vulcan guy, but we've got Nursegawa, who, if you were a fan of TNG, she's never been a major character, but she's been there in the background a lot, and she's familiar, you know what she looks like. But to then take her out of that, instead of being Beverly's assistant, and saying, look, she's got her own life and she's got her own friends, and putting it, and then bringing in Sito from the First Duty as well. Yeah,
that was...
Yeah, it's just a brilliant idea. And it pays off with the scenes with Picard later on. We get an emotional hook to it there. And I think another really good idea, and they've not done this in Lower Decks, the show, is having this idea of let's have a civilian character who's friends with them.
Yeah.
So you've got the bartender, and it positions him in this unique place that because he's a civilian, they're obviously his close friends, but he can also socialize with the main characters.
Yeah,
anything of it, because there's no rank structure in place. So I think that's a really interesting.
It's a clever twist in it. It's like how he calls Riker, "I will," and all that.
The rest of them are like, oh, you can't call Riker.
You can't do that. Yes, I can. I'm a civilian.
Yeah, and the fact that later on he links the 2 poker games, so you've got these 2 separate poker games going on. But because of his position, he can go from one of them to the other one, and nobody thinks anything of it. He's welcome at both of them. And his friends must just think, if he told them that, after I cleaned you guys out, I went off and had a game with the senior staff, they'd be shocked at what he's doing. But it works, and it's a really interesting... He's a good conduit for linking the characters, but also showing the sort of the separation between them. There's a bit where they have a briefing. So they go, you're on the bridge, and they say, right, senior officers to the briefing room. And usually we would follow them to that briefing and we'd see what's going on. But instead we stay with the lower decks.
Yeah, we stay on the bridge.
And you've got them saying, oh, I wonder what this is about. And, what's going on here? And that's great, because that is what it'd be like.
Yeah, we're lower decks. We don't need to know everything. We just follow orders.
And they expand out on that, don't they? Like later on, you've got the bit where Lavelle's talking to, I keep forgetting the Vulcan guy's name, but the Vulcan Enagawa when Sito goes missing. And he's the only one that doesn't know something about it.
Yeah.
Like, none of them have got the full picture, but because of what they do, they know bits, but they don't.
Yeah, it's like they have where we're scanning an escape pod and there's Lavelle on the comm.
Yeah,
and they tell him lock on, and he goes scanning for it, and it'd help if I knew what I was scanning for. No, just scan for life signs. It doesn't matter what species.
Yeah, it is a perspective we've never seen because we've always been there with the senior crew, like we said, at the briefing and at all the scenes where they talk through it and where they decide what to do. So we're always a step ahead, whereas this...
Here we in step with the lower decks as it goes along. Like we have a better picture because we're seeing all the little bits as the
we get to see the pieces, but even then, what it does is it takes what is a fairly straightforward storyline, but because of the way it's presented, it makes it into a mystery rather than just a straightforward mission of the week. It's making us think, right, who's this person they're beaming on board and why are they doing this shuttle and what do they need Sito for and everything. So, yeah, it's a really... Not only is the concept of sticking with the lower decks cool, like we could have just done that and just had them getting on with day-to-day things, but we've also got this other plot going on.
Yeah, we've got this mission.
And the mission becomes so much more interesting because of the way we're presenting that mission.
Yeah, like you get Nurse Agawa.
Yeah.
He's called to sick bay, and this is where we find out it's Cardassian that they've been aboard. But then you've got Ensign Sato is outside sick bay, and she has no idea what's going in there. All she's being told is that only senior officers are allowed in. Which I think's...
And it's the idea if they all put their heads together and told each other what they knew, they'd be able to work out what's going on, but they can't because of.
But they've all been told not to tell anybody,
exactly.
And they're all following orders.
Yeah,
like there's a crew evaluation that's going on as well in the background through all this. But it's interesting that they all know, and they've been ordered not to tell anybody, and they're not even telling the best friends. They are following orders.
Which is exactly what you'd have to do, but and it does add to this sort of mystery element to the episode. Talking about the crew evaluations, though, I don't think it's very professional. Riker and Troy just sitting in 10 forward, going, "Oh, I can't believe we've got to do the crew evaluations." Who do you think would be good for this?
To be fair, I can relate to that because I've been in that situation where you've got to do performance reviews, and they are a pain doing them and thinking about something. And if they're having to do this every 3 months, probably it's a load of extra work on top of their normal duties. This is work on top of their normal duties, so they're probably thinking they probably added another God knows how many hours of work, and the intent forward's still working in their off time.
Oh no, but the thing is, some of the people they're talking about could be sat there. Is what?
Well, the people that they're talking about are sat a few tables away.
Exactly. So I think,
and that's where it's unprofessional that the same people are in the room.
Like, I don't mind the idea of them having a bitch about it. It's like you say, it's it probably.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's unprofessional them talking about it while the people they're evaluating are sat a couple of tables away.
Yeah, and there's another thing sort of running through it. This idea of almost like Chinese whispers, where people are hearing stories and it's everybody's getting it wrong. Like you've got this thing where Lavelle tries to bond with Riker because he thinks he's from Canada, but he's not. And it ends up with this sort of quite embarrassing scene for him where he's like, oh, you know, I've got Canadian family, and Riker's like, oh, good. You know, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And the other one is where you've got the bartender guy who says, oh, I heard Ambassador Spock was on the shuttle. And I can imagine that being the sort of thing that people would gossip about.
Like we normally see it from the main crew's point of view, all our stories. So we know exactly what's going on. But that's only like a dozen members of this 1,000 people crew. Yeah. And you're seeing here that the people who, like some ensigns and whatever, will find out, but only what they need to know. They don't know everything. So you will have Chinese whispers.
You will. And the idea of, oh, it must be Spock. Like, you would make up stuff like that. Like, oh, nerds in there. And why not? I mean, we've already met Spock in TNG. Scotty turned up about a year ago. So, why not Ambassador Spock? You can imagine that passing around, and it ties into kind of going back to Lower Decks, the show, Mariner, where she was spreading these rumors and things like that. You can see, looking at this episode, what threads they've picked up on and said, okay, let's expand on that. Let's take that to the next level, and let's see what we can find that's funny about this idea. And you can see where a lot of the DNA of the show does come in this episode.
Oh, easy.
It's not just the name. There's really, really good scenes with Picard and Sito. And again, it presents Picard in a way we're not used to seeing, because we know Picard's not a dickhead. But when she goes to see him,
the first time,
across that way, and he chews her up, and obviously we find out later he's doing it for a reason.
Well, we have we have Worf before that. He sort of does this martial art thing where she's blindfolded and he just keeps punching her until she's had enough and goes, "This isn't fair." It's sort of, perhaps next time something isn't fair, that's done to you, you'll realise before you're covered in bruises.
And that's Worf. See, that's Worf, because he knows Picard and he must be able to work out, I know what Picard's doing here, but she needs to stand up for herself.
Worf's also put her forward for the promotion. Worf's really impressed with her.
Yeah.
As a junior officer.
Yeah. So it's Worf's kind of giving her a bit of an olive branch.
Yeah, I think Worf is brilliant in this. Like,
he is,
he teaches her a lesson, but he doesn't just say it, he actually teaches her a lesson, which is very Worf.
Yeah.
And then you have the other side of it with Riker, and I think Riker comes across as being a right dick in this episode.
Yeah,
I think he stays being a dick in this episode because he has to be pulled up by Troy what he's doing wrong. Like, Lavelle's trying to sort of get close to him, sort of with the Canadian thing. And then there's Poker, and Troy goes, and Riker's sort of like slagging Lavelle off a bit with it. And Troy points out to him, didn't you start playing poker to get close to the first officers when you served on the Potemkin? Exactly. When you were an ensign? Well, I like poker. Yes, but maybe that's how it came across there to them with you.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I've said this before on the podcast, and this is the episode that proves it, is we know Riker and we like Riker, but if Riker was your boss, you would think he was a right knobhead.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the way he can... idiosyncrasies about Riker that we like because we know him. But if you were someone from the outside looking in, you'd just think this guy is absolutely up his own ass. And so I totally get why he's perceived that way. And it is good that Troy puts him in his place.
Yeah, Troy pulls him up, and rightly so.
Yeah. And ultimately then, like you say, she passes Worf's test by calling him on it. And then when she goes to stand up to Picard, that's when he realizes, right, you are right for this mission. I needed to know I had somebody who would stand up.
But I like how he also says to her that, because she asks, why did you even allow me on board the Enterprise if you're not going to give me a chance? And he goes, actually, the reason you're on the Enterprise is so you do get a fair chance, because you probably wouldn't on any other ship.
And that's the Picard that we know.
Yeah.
We know this is how he behaves with people, but he's putting on that act to get what he needs out of her.
Yeah.
And from her point of view, you could totally believe it, because she's like, right, I was involved in this thing at the Academy.
Picard was there.
Yeah, he was there. He was pretty much the prosecutor, really.
Yeah.
So absolutely, she's probably terrified of Picard, because he could have ended a career back at the Academy.
Well, nearly did.
Exactly. And then when she goes to the Enterprise, she must just be thinking, I need to get on the right side of him, or I need to keep my head down.
Yeah, I need to really prove myself. I need to be the best I can.
And so she gets called into his office. Picard is an intimidating guy. I mean, particularly if you're a Starfleet officer and you've heard the stories of what this guy's done. He's the captain of the flagship. And if you don't know him, he comes across as gruff, a little bit hard to relate to. So she'd be absolutely terrified. And Worf does teach her a good lesson, and she does stand up to him. And yeah, like you say, you get that nice payoff to it, which is, I requested you on here.
So you did get a fair chance, which is, that's exactly what we'd expect from Picard.
Yeah, exactly. Then it ends a little bit quickly, and I think probably this is intentional, because we don't see what happens to Sito. It's all off camera, basically. We do get a little scene with her on the shuttle.
Yeah.
And then that's it. We see everything through how her friends are dealing with it, and
we get is that they don't know where she is. They don't know what's gone on. All they know is that a Cardassian was involved. The engineer guy had damaged the shuttle.
Yeah. That's good, because he uses his Vulcan smarts where he says to John, "Oh, you want me to stand here, or would it be better over there?
Would you prefer me over there?" Yeah, over there. Yeah, that makes sense. That fits the pattern.
Yeah, very good. And it's, do you want me to modulate the phaser so that you can't see the things? No, it's fine how it is. And yeah, really good. It's not easy to put one past a Vulcan. So
no, like even as a junior officer, like we know the Vulcans are long lived, and as a junior officer, he's actually probably about 60 years old. Is this guy?
He could well be, absolutely. And that's it. It's the logic of it, isn't it? Right, you're shooting a phaser at a shuttle, but I could make it so it doesn't show up. So it's not logical to do it so it does show damage. Therefore, logically, you must want it to look damaged.
Yeah.
And then you build it from there, and it's, right, what matches this sort of fire pattern? It must be that. And it's told me to do it there, and there. So that looks like, maybe pick the wrong guy for this job, Geordie, if you didn't want him to tweak what you were doing.
But I think that goes into the thing, though, doesn't it? That the up for promotion and all that. That's why Geordie's picked him.
Yeah.
Did Lavelle get the promotion in the end?
Yes, he does, because he takes the pick to the table. And I think it's a case of, let's give them a little bit of responsibility and bring them in a little bit into the sneaky stuff that we're doing, and see how they cope with it. See if they keep their mouths shut about it. Yeah. It's probably another thing, because if he'd have gone off and all of a sudden the whole ship's gossiping about how Geordie was shooting a shuttle, it's right.
Or if it came up at all over the ship. Oh, we've had a Kardashian in sick bay.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
like Lavelle didn't know anything, so like everyone would probably know that they're close to the Kardashian border. That's not you can't hide that, and that's all Lavelle actually knows is that.
Yeah, Lavelle's the most out of the loop of all of them, and it's not a knock on him. It's just that his department doesn't have any involvement in this, really.
Yeah, he didn't need to know any more details to do his job.
Yeah, you do feel a little bit sorry for him, but it's one of those where in a chain of command, you've got to realize that not everybody does need to know everything. And you've also got to realize when you should be sharing things and when you shouldn't be. So, yeah, it's really good in terms of how they test them and how they develop them in this episode. It's a shame that Lavelle doesn't become a featured extra going forward. Like we do this whole thing, who's going to get the ops position, and then this is the only time we see him. It's
it's only like there was only another 8 or 9 episodes after this, so
it'd have been nice to have had him.
But it would have been nice that if he'd had a couple of callbacks just as a sort of extra.
I mean, we can headcanon it that he's probably doing the night shift, so we don't see him. But and there's a really nice ending to the episode where Worf, he's not invited, but he kind of is, because you get the bartender who's sit with them.
Picard lets everyone know over the tannoy, don't they, that she's died and she was an exemplary officer. Now, in a way, with Lavelle getting the promotion, I feel sorry for him here, because he must think, did I get the promotion because she was killed in the line of duty? Because he knows that they're both up for the same.
And he does express that, doesn't he? Like, he says, I think she'd have deserved it more. And his friends try and be supportive, like, you're a really good officer. And so, but yeah, that would be kind of going through your head a little bit, wouldn't it? Like, I once went for a job and I was the only person who was interviewed. I don't know if I was just the only person interviewed that day. So it was a teaching job and I got it. But you think, okay, but did I really get it? Because there was
am I the only one who'll come here?
Yeah. I mean, it'd have been bad if I hadn't have got it, if I'd have been the only one. But yeah, interesting. And it's a nice ending to the episode with Worf going and sort of breaking down that barrier to the lower decks and showing his respects and everything.
Yeah.
So,
well, it was the barman, wasn't he? He goes, look, she considered you her friend. You should join her friends.
Yeah.
She spoke highly of you.
Yeah, and we see that in this episode. You have to assume that the bond they've got in this episode is not just confined to this episode. Walt's obviously known this.
Well, there's got to be a reason why she's been on the Enterprise for 9 months.
Yeah.
She's working in security, so she's directly under Worf's command.
Mm-hmm.
And Worf has put her forward for a promotion, so he obviously knows her and thinks a lot about her.
Yeah.
Job-wise.
And there's another tie-in to Lower Decks the show. We've got a Bajoran security officer. So maybe that little germ of an idea formed as well when they watch this. And let's adapt that, and that becomes Shax at some point. But yeah, really, really, really strong episode. Especially season 7's not always regarded that highly for TNG. I think there's a few good ones in it.
I think there's some good episodes in season. There's good episodes. To be fair, there's good episodes in every season of TNG.
Yeah, absolutely, and more good episodes than bad episodes in most seasons. Season 1, it's a bit debatable, but yeah, I think it's because there's a couple of stinkers in season 7. Like there's masks and there's emanations or whatever it's called. But yeah, this is definitely, for a show really late in its run, this is a really solid episode. And I'm glad we got the chance to revisit this one.
Yeah. And it made sense to revisit it as well at some point with Lower Decks. And Wej Duj was just the perfect episode to pair it with.
Absolutely. And next we've got the finale, which I'm assuming is going to be the culmination of the Packled arc.
Like, do we think there'll be another Packled battle? And do we think the Cerritos will end up in a starbase again at the end, having another refit following the battle?
Maybe, yeah.
So that they can update the animation again for season 3.
Or I'm wondering if they're wanting to plant this bomb on Earth, maybe we're going to go back to Earth and it's going to be the Cerritos saving the day. Or maybe Riker will just swoop in again at the end and who knows? But
Freeman's got it in her head that she's the Packled.
She's the
best one
captain, yeah. So maybe this will be her time. Maybe she'll finally prove herself, save the Earth from the Packleds, and either get the Cerritos reassigned to a more important duty, or maybe she'll get a bigger ship.
I think she's happy on the Cerritos, but I think she wants it to be a more important ship.
Yeah, we'll find out next week anyway.
Yeah.
And I think I'm pretty sure there will be several Easter eggs for us to pick up, but if not, we should probably do the Packled episode from TNG because we've not been there yet.
I know, we keep avoiding it, don't we? But it is quite funny.
Yes, definitely. And I think it'd be one of them. I think we'll appreciate it more now that we've had all this stuff with the Packleds and had a good
well, if there isn't like a sort of big glaring Easter egg, do this episode. Let's look at doing the Packleds.
Yeah. So in the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, we're on Twitter at RetrekPod. You can email us retrekpod@gmail.com, or you can come and join us on Facebook. Elliot's just put up a how-to video for your Voyager model. Which,
I've motorized in the cells.
Yeah, which, I mean, it looks impressive to me because I don't know that much about modelling, but from the responses you've had, I can see it's impressive.
My Facebook has blown up this afternoon since I posted it working.
Yeah, it's a really good model.
As far as I'm aware, I'm only the second person to motorise in the cells on it because... Like, there's only so much space to get a mechanism working. Yeah.
So if you're interested at all in building model starships, check out Retrek Model Studios and the stuff Elliot's done on there. It is, it is unbelievable work. Like you say, the size of that thing that you've done that with. But don't take my word for it. Go check it out. And thanks for trekking with us this time, and we'll see you next time on the Retrek.
Thank you. Bye-bye.